Hello, here with a video, a bit of a delayed one. This I intended to originally do this last week, but I'm doing it now because, well, my record's just arrived now, but also, in case you didn't hear, Oasis got back together last week, so that kind of just blew everything out the water and, yeah, delayed this. It kind of overshadowed this completely. So, just quickly on the reunion thing, I hope if you wanted a ticket last Saturday, you got a ticket, or if like me, you were in the pre-sale, I got in the pre-sale. I'm off to Wembley and Murrayfield, because why do one when you can do two? And before people start going, oh, some people didn't get any tickets for any of the gigs, I'm sorry if that was you, but me getting 2 tickets for Wembley and 2 tickets for Murrayfield is no different from someone getting 4 tickets for Wembley. I've still only taken 4 tickets in total. Anyway, enough of me trying to defend myself, because I have nothing to defend. But yeah, see, in all seriousness, I hope you all did get tickets if you wanted them. I hope the dynamic pricing thing didn't affect you too much. I didn't actually know that was a thing until this happened, although I've since found out Springsteen's done it, I think McCartney's done it, Harry Styles has done it, so it should be abolished, it should be illegal, it's an awful thing. But anyway, just announced actually before I recorded this video, 2 new dates have been added to Wembley, so that'll take them up to 7 shows. Come on, get another 2 in there, then you'll beat Taylor Swift. I mean, they could do it, Anyway, we're not here to talk about the reunion today. We're going backwards instead. We're going back to the old Oasis, not the current Oasis. We're going back to 1994. We're here to talk today about the 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe. So over the last few years, Oasis, for the 25th anniversary editions of their 90s albums, have done a number of things, kind of all disappointing really. For Definitely Maybe, Morning Glory, and Be Here Now, I think. Yeah, they did it for Be Here Now too. They basically did this silver disc version of the album, which on vinyl, which was rubbish, and picture discs, not interested in. Then the master plan last year, they did a Zoetrope with Blood Records and probably the silver record things on their own stores again. Didn't buy any of that. I didn't need any of it. There was nothing of interest on it. And I was kind of originally, when this 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe was announced, I was thinking, nah, not buying any of that. But I've been pulled in, and I have purchased one thing, 1.5 things I think, looking at this. I've not bought the full vinyl thing with all of the stuff, with all the Monnow Valley and the Sawmills outtakes, but what we are going to talk about in this video today, I have obviously heard it all on streaming, so we are going to talk about that stuff today, but I'll show you what I have got, which is the Blood Records version of the album that came out. So I will show you that now. So here it is. The reason I bought this was because the vinyl looked good and it has a lenticular cover. What that means, in case you don't know, is basically it's 3D, it's animated. Although I can't really get it to work. I don't know if you can see it all that well here. But the idea is it's got the original cover and then the 30th anniversary edition one, which is the one where you can't see them, where they're not there. So yeah, to be honest, when they first showed off that new cover, I was thinking, what is that? Why have they done that? And then Noel explained in his interview at Sifters on YouTube, it's the idea being the ghosts of the past, which suddenly made me think, yeah, that's actually really good. But anyway, I like this cover, the 3D-ness, how it kind of has both of them, the 30th anniversary cover and the original cover. That's the front cover anyway, that is the back cover. Interestingly, I should say, on the Blood Records version, it's literally just the album. You don't get any of the outtakes and stuff. Although it does talk about them on here. Even though you don't get them, it talks about them, because logic. Obviously, as well, because it's Blood Records, it's numbered. Number 2,119 out of 15,000, so quite a low number. I'll be honest, when it was announced, I was trying to get number 1994, 1,994, but I was too slow. Anyway, it's a gatefold, just like the original, although it's a different gatefold. The whole thing's falling apart. This is a professional production as ever. So there you go. What you have here, this side here is Monnow Valley, and this side here is Sawmills. I hope you can see that. On the bottom there, that writing, I don't know if you can see it, it's just a quote from Alan McGee, a new quote from him. So yeah, that's what you get in the gatefold. I'll show you the records, so that's the best bit. So sleeves are a bit different. Firstly, we have this tambourine, which explains here what they are. So this tambourine was purchased in Manchester in 1994. It appears on the cover of Supersonic and has been played on every Oasis track ever, apparently. And then on the other side, you have this, which Noel says in a quote at the bottom, "This is the sound of Definitely Maybe." But we're not interested in the sleeves because... Look at that! Look at that! Is that not just like the most beautiful thing that's ever existed? I mean, I've seen women are beautiful, but that's not beautiful. It's not really. Yeah, it's very nice. Yeah, I think it's sold out now. It was limited edition, this. If you haven't got it, your loss, basically. Show you the other one as well, because obviously it's a double album. So, start with that side since you've seen it. Set list here. This is set list handwritten by Oasis's roadie Phil Smith from the Leeds Irish Centre gig on the 10th of August 1994, less than 3 weeks before Definitely Maybe was released. I thought I'd seen this set list. If you ever go to the Hard Rock Cafe in Orlando, somewhere in there is a set list from this era in one of the displays, and I thought it was this one, but it's obviously not. But it could be that one. It looks very familiar. Anyway, that side is the King Tut's Wawa Hut sign, which was there. That was the sign that was up when they played King Tut's, when Alan McGee discovered them. The band were given that sign on their 10th anniversary in 2004. But again, oh, we get it again. Look at that. Look at that. Is that not just vinyl, man? You don't get this on streaming. Look at that. The idea of these colours, by the way, it's supposed to be the colours of the album sort of all exploded into a mashup of colour. That's what that's supposed to be. Anyway, very happy with that. That is very, very nice. I'll leave them there for now. Right, I will put that on the stand. So what we're going to talk about here for the rest of this video, if I can get my iPad, is we are going to talk a little bit about the contents of the 30th anniversary editions, not so much this one, because that's just a standard album, but we'll talk about the Monnow Valley stuff and the Sawmills outtakes. Gotta be honest, I haven't bought them, but I'm getting tempted. I keep getting tempted by it, especially the Monnow Valley stuff. Yeah, I haven't yet. Maybe I will eventually. But what I have bought and forgotten to show you is this. This came out on Oasis's official store on the, I think it was the 30th anniversary, the actual day of Supersonic coming out as a single. That's the single. It's just a 7-inch. Yeah, it's numbered as well. 3,410 if you care. I don't know how many were made. I think it was 10,000 if I remember right, but I might be wrong. That's at Monnow Valley. And inside you have the record, which is on a sort of silver vinyl. It's kind of got a bit of a print. I don't know if that's picking up, but yeah, there you go. So I have that as well. It's got Take Me Away as the B-side. But you probably knew that already. I'd be very surprised if you're watching this video and you didn't know what the B-side to Supersonic was. Right, okay, let's start here. The main album, it's not been remastered again. It's not been remixed or anything like that. So I'm not going to talk about the main album. If you want to hear what I think about it, there's a video I did back in 2020, I think, where I reviewed the album track by track. So go and watch that video. I can't remember what I said in it, but I probably haven't changed my opinion that much since then. But for the 30th anniversary edition, a Dolby Atmos mix of Definitely Maybe has been created. If you have Apple Music, you are superior, and you get the Dolby Atmos mix. If you're on Spotify, you're a peasant. But yeah, the Atmos mix of this album sounds very nice. The stuff in that mix that's obviously always been there, but I've never picked up on, especially on like Shaker Maker and Supersonic and tracks like that. I mean, the intro to Supersonic has different sounds on the Atmos mix, and the guitar on the, I think it's on the I'm Sorry But I Just Don't Know part of Shaker Maker has different guitar lines, which, yeah, very interesting stuff. But otherwise, in terms of the standard album, that's about it in terms of what you get of newness, and even then it's only certain people that get that. So let's talk about the more interesting stuff. We'll start with Monnow Valley first. So, give you the story here. What happened? Monnow Valley was the original recordings of this album. So when Oasis was signed to Creation, I think it was the back end of '93, they then went to Monnow Valley Studios to record their first attempt of Definitely Maybe, and basically it got scrapped. Everything from them sessions was scrapped with the exception of Slide Away, I believe. Slide Away on the finished version of Definitely Maybe is the only thing that survived from Monnow Valley. Everything else was scrapped, and personally I don't know why, because I really like them. We'll get into that in a minute. Anyway, the tapes were apparently lost for many years, And Noel kept saying, where are these tapes? They must be somewhere. And Sony found them not so long ago. Apparently they'd been mislabeled. How they got mislabeled, I don't know. Anyway, in terms of what's on the Monnow Valley mixes, we have, because I haven't memorised it yet, Rock and Roll Star, Shaker Maker, Live Forever, Up in the Sky, Columbia, Bring It On Down, Cigarettes and Alcohol, and Diggs' Dinner. Like I say, Slide Away was also recorded in these sessions, but it actually made the album, so obviously it's not on the outtakes because it couldn't be an outtake of something that made the actual album. Anyway, so in terms of why these mixes were considered not good enough, the band just weren't happy with them, especially Noel. He didn't feel like it represented Oasis. And to be honest, if you listen to these mixes, you'll think most bands would be, you know, if they'd recorded mixes like this as their debut, they'd be like, be brilliant. But I think what's wrong with them perhaps is they're too clean, they're too polished, they're too well made, basically. And yeah, I kind of actually prefer these versions on Monnow Valley. These mixes, I think they're really good. I really enjoy them. I've been listening to them a lot, a real lot over the last few days. There's some real interesting stuff on here. It's just like the songs are given more space to breathe. It's less in your face, which some people like it being in your face. I like it being in your face if I'm in the mood for it. But if I'm not in the mood for it, these mixes are very nice. As Alan McGee says on the little quote on the gatefold, these mixes have a charm. He maintains he did the right thing not releasing them at the time, and I agree, it was the right thing not to release them. But they do have a charm about them. Anyway, I have made some notes here on what I think of each of these tracks. So, Rock and Roll Star, as usual, kicks off. Yeah, still fab here. It's not massively different from the finished version. It just doesn't have that same aggression, that same kick to it. Shaker Maker on here, it still has the original third verse. So originally, obviously, on the finished version, the third verse is Mr. Sifter sold me songs when I was just 16. I was at Sifter's back in June, the week that Noel was there. Noel was there on the Tuesday, I was there on the Sunday. Completely off topic there, nothing to do with anything, just thought I'd bring that up. Anyway, on the Monnow Valley version, that line hasn't been written yet. It still has the original line, I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. But Noel changed it because basically if they kept that, they would get sued because it's the Carpenters, I think. I think it's the Carpenters or is it the Seekers? I think it's the Carpenters. Should have checked that. So yeah, that's quite interesting that that version is still on here. I wonder if it'll get sued actually, because now they've technically released it. Although I don't know, they were maybe sued at the time, I can't remember. Right, Live Forever is also quite interesting because it doesn't have the drum intro, the famous drum intro played by Tony McCarroll. In the intro, instead, it just dives straight into the vocals, and I quite like it like that. The drums on Live Forever, I've never massively cared for on that intro. I quite like it going just straight into the vocals. What we got next? Up in the Sky. In my opinion, this version of Up in the Sky is better than the version that went on to Definitely Maybe. This version, it sounds very Beatlesy in many ways with the backing vocals and stuff from Noel. It's also got quite a psychedelic sounding outro. It goes quite psychedelic at the end. Yeah, it's a very interesting version. This better than the version that got released, I think. Columbia, this has some nice guitar lines in the intro that aren't on the finished version. Noel's kind of playing, I want to say it's a little bit bluesy, some of the guitar stuff on the intro. It's interesting stuff. What else have I wrote here? It's got more space to breathe, this song. It's less in your face than the finished version. I've also wrote grooves a bit better here. It's got a bit of a better groove in terms of, how do you describe it? Like, you can feel the groove better, whereas the finished version's a lot more in your face kind of punk, as is a lot of Definitely Maybe. But this one's kind of a bit more, you can feel the bass a bit more on it, shall I say. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Noel sings the high notes on the chorus here, which obviously he sings it on the final version, but the significance of that will come into play later in the video. Right after that, we've got Bring It On Down, which again, on here, it's less in your face. It gives it more breathing space, but it's defo lacking the punk feeling of the finished version. I think I'm on record on some video saying Bring It On Down, in my opinion, is the weakest track on Definitely Maybe. I still stand by that. I know it's the song that Alan McGee seen them perform and got them signed to Creation Records and got them anywhere, but I just don't think it's as good a song as the rest of the album, personally. Right, Cigarettes and Alcohol, again, it's less heavy, it's more chilled out, not chilled out, but it's less in your face, that's what I meant to say there. the T-Rex riff, the Get It On riff, it's much more prominent throughout the entire song on here. On the finished version, you can hear it obviously when it's just the riff, but then when the rest of the instrumentation comes in, it kind of gets drowned out, whereas on this version, the riff, it just continues and continues. Obviously, the rest of the instrumentation is there, but yeah, it's kind of a bit more clear. Yeah, I like it. Noel also sings some backing vocals on this. You can wait for a lifetime to spend your day in the sunshine and stuff like that. Noel is singing along, which he did live. He always did that live, but on the record he didn't do it, and I don't know why, because it works very nice having both of them singing on bits of this song. And then finally from Monnow Valley we have Diggs' Dinner, which, to be honest, I've wrote here, it ain't too different, although it does have some additional backing vocals from Noel, which again, I like. I wish Noel's backing vocals had made jump onto the finished version, because it just elevates the song that little bit more. Yeah, so that is Monnow Valley. That's everything on the Monnow Valley. To be honest, that's what I'm really interested in. I think that's the more interesting stuff on this edition. If they'd released the Monnow Valley stuff as a standalone vinyl, I'd definitely have bought that. It's just, do I need another copy? Definitely, maybe, just to get the Monnow Valley stuff. I don't know. Anyway, the next stuff included is the Sawmills outtakes. So what happened was, after Monnow Valley, then the band weren't happy with what had been recorded. They then went to Sawmills, which I think it's in Wales, maybe. And they recorded it all again. And once again, they weren't happy with what they recorded there. But they couldn't afford to go off and do it a third time. So then what they did was they gave the Monnow Valley, the Sawmills recordings to Owen Morris, who then remixed the album into what became Definitely Maybe. So the Sawmill stuff is what became the album. But obviously at this stage, these are outtakes. I think these are alternative takes, actually. They're not just the pre-Owen Morris mixes of the songs. So what's included here on the Sawmill stuff, we have Rock and Roll Star, Up in the Sky, Columbia, Bring It On Down, Cigarettes and Alcohol, Diggs' Dinner, and Slide Away. Now, the songs that aren't on here, I think the reason being is there are no outtakes of like Shaker Maker and Live Forever and Supersonic and stuff like that. The band were that good, they just nailed it first time. So there's nothing there of interest. There's no outtakes, sorry. But what I have wrote here, if you listen on the streaming, it just says Sawmills outtakes. Now this is just me being pedantic. Most people, this won't bother them. But because I'm quite a nerd when it comes to stuff like this, I hate the fact it just says Sawmills outtake. I'd much rather it said take 2 or take 3 or take 1 or whatever. It actually numbered what take it was. It told you what take it was. That would mean something more to me than just saying Sawmills outtakes. But yeah, obviously, I mean, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, that's just something that irritates me. Anyway, do the same thing again here. I'll go through each of these outtakes and tell you what I think of them. So Rock and Roll Star, it's a tad slower. That's a common theme with these outtakes. The tempo is just a tad slower. So I think that's what Owen Morris has done to a lot of these songs. He's sped them up, basically. Sped them up and turned them up. I think that's all he's really done. He's sped them up and turned it up so it's much more in your face. It's a very loud album, Definitely Maybe. It always has been. Whereas here, it's not quite as loud. It's not quite as fast. Anyway, what's quite interesting on this version is Liam seems to have a kazoo. Yeah, which you can hear him kind of playing away while Noel and the rest of the band are doing the outro and stuff. Which, if I think it was on the last, well, it's not the last tour anymore, but on the Dig Out Your Soul tour, I think when they were finishing Rock and Roll Star, there was like all these sound effects, and I assumed they were just like new recordings at the time that they added on. But to me, it sounds like the kazoo from the original record, from the Sawmills outtakes. It sounds like they were using them on tour sometimes. If you listen to the live recording of iTunes Festival, I think it's on the deluxe version of Time Flies. In the outro of Rock and Roll Star, you can hear all these noises, and then listen to this outtake and you'll hear them noises. So yeah, it's just me being nerdy and noticing stuff like that. In the outro as well, Liam sings I Like It. He's singing, it's just rock and roll, and then he's sort of singing quieter, I Like It. I think that's maybe a Stones reference. Which it always surprised me when he's singing that outro that they never did that on stage or anything, because it's almost taking it from the Stones. It's only rock and roll, but I like it. It's just rock and... Anyway, going off topic. Up in the Sky, it doesn't really sound all that different on here, to be honest. Yeah, I've got to be honest, the Sawmill stuff, I'm not quite as familiar with it as I am the Monnow Valley stuff, because since it's come out last Friday, Monnow Valley has been what I've been listening to. I've just really been enjoying the Monnow Valley stuff, but the Sawmill stuff, it's not quite as interesting. Columbia here is a lot longer. It's about 7 minutes. I think it's getting up towards 8 minutes, to be honest. Yeah, there's no Noel vocals on the chorus on here. Unlike on the Monnow Valley version and the Finnish version, you have both Liam and Noel singing on the chorus. You've got Liam doing the low note and Noel singing the high notes. But on here, Liam is singing falsetto. There is no Noel vocals, which is very strange to hear. Liam singing the high notes, effectively, of Columbia. Yeah, only time he did it, apparently. Yeah, what else have I wrote here? Oh yeah, it includes an additional verse. Those in the media, am I confusing you? I think, or it's something about the media anyway. And then at the end, there's a bit where Liam is singing, and it kind of verges into a rap. He's kind of rapping a little bit on his Definitely Maybe tour that he's just done, which I've seen him in Glasgow and at Transmit, so Glasgow twice, I suppose. He was doing this. He actually sang this bit live for some reason. This was released early, obviously. So yeah. Bring It On Down, it's starting here to sound a bit more punk, a bit more in your face, but it's still not quite there. It still needs that Owen Morris remix touch to get it there. What else have we got? Cigarettes and Alcohol, it's at a slower tempo here. I've actually wrote here it's quite a bit grungy. It sounds a lot more grungy on here than it does on the Finnish version, but I quite like it at this slower tempo. It's not massively slower. It's not like it's now become some slow ballad or something like that. It's a bit slower. Yeah, it's very grungy, dare I say. All right, Diggs' Dinner. Again, it's at a slightly slower tempo, as is most of these versions. Again, it makes it a little bit more grungy. It's kind of like a Beatlesy, grungy sounding song. Yeah, and then we have finally Slide Away. To me, Slide Away on here, it feels a lot less passionate than the Monnow Valley version. I'm pleased to use the Monnow Valley version because this version of Slide Away just, it isn't it. Yeah, I think Noel has said with Slide Away, the reason they used the Monnow Valley version of Slide Away because it just felt like it was magic. They captured a band at a perfect moment there. And yeah, here, it's not working. You just can't feel the passion in Liam's voice the same way, and you can't feel the passion in the band's playing in the same way. And in the outro, Noel isn't singing Don't Know, Don't Care. All I know is you can take me there, which is the best bit of the song in my opinion. That's just not there at all. So yeah, it's missing, unfortunately. Although that's something that's always irritated me. I wish someone would remix this song and turn the guitars down a bit and bring the vocals up at that outro so you can actually hear it properly. Yeah, it's irritating. But yeah, that is it for the Sawmills outtakes. So that is more or less it, although tags on at the end there is something that's probably the thing of most interest to people. It's the sad song demo, and it's the demo, that famous demo with Liam singing the vocals instead of Noel. Beautiful demo this, absolutely love it. It's just a very pure, and it's quite a delicate sounding demo. It's very majestic. It's a side of Liam you don't see all that often, this delicate side. But here we go, this will annoy people I'm sure. The Finnish version with Noel singing I still think is superior. It's still a better version of Sad Song. I think it's because of the production, and I think Noel, just the tone of Noel's voice suits Sad Song better because Noel naturally, when he sings, sounds a lot sadder. And I think that's partly because he wrote it. He knows what it's about. He can convey the emotions a lot better when it comes to stuff like that than what Liam can, because Liam, how do I put it? Liam doesn't know the song the same way that Noel does. Liam doesn't connect with it the same way Noel does. Nobody can connect with any of these songs the same way that Noel does. You know, in the same way with The Who, Roger Daltrey will not connect with songs the same way that Pete Townshend does, because obviously Pete wrote them. So yeah, but this demo itself, it's very beautiful. I'm pleased we have it. It's something that's, you know, it's been on the internet for many, many years. I think it first became like in the public domain, like people became properly conscious of it, was in the Supersonic documentary. But now we finally have the full thing. So yeah, it's a nice thing to close this. And yeah, that's it. That's the 30th anniversary edition of Definitely Maybe, which thankfully is a lot better than what we got for the 25th anniversary. That was rubbish, to be honest. So yeah, I'm pleased. These outtakes are interesting. The Monnow Valley stuff is definitely the more interesting stuff, as is the sad song demo. The Sawmills stuff, not quite as interesting. But yeah, like I say, Monnow Valley, I just really like the stuff that's on there. But yeah, I'm hoping this has kind of set a precedent. Now I'm assuming they're going to do a 30th anniversary edition of Morning Glory next year, and I'm hoping we'll get some outtakes from the Rockfield sessions. Well, that was the only sessions for Morning Glory. But yeah, I hope we get outtakes for Morning Glory next year. And yeah, if they do, please number them. Please tell us the actual numbers. Take 1, take 2, take 3, etc. Don't just put Rockfield outtakes or anything like that for those ones, please. But yeah, if you haven't bought this, do I recommend buying it? I don't know if you need to go and buy it, but definitely stream it. There's some interesting stuff on here, especially the Monnow Valley stuff. But yeah, overall, I'm pleased we have this. It's very nice, and the reunion has obviously overshadowed this, and Oasis are back together. But yeah, I think that's all I've got to say. Basically, I'm rambling now. So hope you got tickets. If you haven't, I hope you're getting enjoyment out of this still. If you have got tickets, I hope you've got your tickets. Are you excited and you're enjoying this? Yeah. Anyway, I will see you next time on a future video. Until then, though, please do take care.